Welcome back, focused learners, to today's Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into what I'd honestly call a definitive masterclass on digital transformation, continuous reinvention, and absolute professional longevity. We are looking at the incredible 40-year career of Eduardo Tiravanti. Now, this isn't just a biography. Think of it as a practical educational guide for any leader out there trying to navigate that really complex transition from traditional, old-school foundations to the absolute bleeding edge of modern technology. We're going to break down exactly how one engineer evolved from the gritty, hands-on trenches of heavy industry all the way then to a global deep tech CEO. So if you've ever wondered how to stay relevant across literally decades of market shifts, well, you are definitely in the right place.
Okay, let's dive into our syllabus for today. First, we'll cover his evolution to deep tech. Second, his industrial experience in teaching. Third, audits for industrial giants. Fourth, innovation, the portable river. Fifth, stoic leadership and resilience. And finally, number 6, a continuous learning guide.
All right, let's start with Section 1, Evolution to Deep Tech.
40 years. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the number of years Eduardo Tiravanti has spent mastering the energy sector. You know, in today's modern startup ecosystem, we're kind of used to seeing a very specific, usually very young founder profile, right? Well, Tiravanti completely shatters that mold. He proves definitively that deep tech is absolutely not just a young person's game. In fact, decades of hard-earned, real-world industry experience can actually be your ultimate unfair advantage when you're trying to build highly complex technological solutions.
To put that into perspective, back in 1983 as a traditional mechanical engineer, he was out there dealing with heavy machinery, physical thermodynamics, and massive industrial infrastructure. But today he is a global deep tech CEO, seamlessly merging hardware engineering with advanced renewable systems. It's a literal textbook case study on digital transformation, and not just for a company, but for a professional mindset.
Moving right along to Section 2, Industrial Experience in Teaching. And this brilliantly illustrates his journey, if you look at the timeline. In 1985, he was managing these incredibly complex pumping stations for Petroperú. We're talking about the gritty, unglamorous reality of heavy industry maintenance in the 1980s. He wasn't just sitting comfortably behind a desk. He was out there in the thick of it, managing high-stakes, hands-on environments. But the cool thing is, he doesn't just stay in the field. He eventually moves into academia, and, spoiler alert, even goes back for a master's degree decades later.
Which brings us to a huge cornerstone of his career as an educational guide, and that's his teaching. From his early days at PUCP to spending almost a decade at TechSup and even teaching master's courses at the Universidad de Piura, Tiravanti really positioned himself as a lifelong educator. He was teaching highly specialized stuff like energy saving in industries and energy efficiency applications. And by training the next generation of engineers, he didn't just share his knowledge, he basically bulletproofed his own mastery. Because, as we know, teaching forces you to distill really complex ideas into understandable formats, which absolutely cemented his expertise in energy management.
That takes us to Section 3, Audits for Industrial Giants.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how he started his company. His 2004 legal constitution for Stellar Energy wasn't backed by millions of dollars in venture capital. Far from it. The starting capital was actually just 4,000 souls, and Tiravanti contributed his own Swiss and German electrical network analyzers just to get things off the ground. I mean, this is the ultimate grounded, boots-on-the-ground story of an independent engineer taking his technical expertise and turning it into a highly profitable consulting firm.
And man, that firm quickly attracted some serious heavy hitters. We're talking about a client list that grew to include Petroperú, the dairy giant Gloria, Owens, Illinois, and Minera Poderosa. By conducting these massive energy audits and implementing ISO 5001 energy management systems for these absolute monsters of industry, he got to look right under the hood of their operations. He saw exactly, with total precision, where their electrical inefficiencies lived. He was no longer just fixing broken machines, he was optimizing energy to massively save their bottom line.
Through Stellar Energy, he conducted over 200 distinct energy projects and audits across a crazy variety of sectors, from mining and textiles all the way to casinos and hospitals. The sheer volume of this work is just staggering, and it built this unshakable, purely data-backed credibility. Because think about it, when you've optimized power usage for over 200 industrial clients, you don't have to guess what the market needs anymore. You know it empirically.
Next up, Section 4, Innovation, the portable river.
Okay, so his technology has officially reached TRL 6. For those who might be unfamiliar with that term,
Technology Readiness Level 6 basically means the technology isn't just an idea on paper, it has actually been demonstrated in a relevant operational environment. It's way past the theoretical phase, and getting physical hardware to this stage is notoriously difficult and incredibly capital-intensive. But he managed to achieve this through highly competitive non-dilutive funding from Petroperú, securing it in both 2018 and 2023.
So, how does this microhydroelectric research project actually work? Well, he calls it the Portable River, developed through his initiative Energetik Heart. Here's the breakdown. Step 1. The system recirculates water between two internal cisterns right inside a building. Step 2. Doing this creates and maintains a constant flow of water. And Step 3. That constant, reliable flow powers a microhydroelectric turbo generator. It is a completely innovative, closed-loop renewable energy system designed specifically to bring hydroelectric power inside commercial and industrial buildings. It takes literally everything he knows about pumping, fluid dynamics, and power efficiency and packages it into one revolutionary product.
But as any founder knows, inventing a machine is really only half the battle. Manufacturing it at scale is where most hardware startups go to die. But Tiravanti executed a move of absolute strategic brilliance here. Instead of trying to build massive, expensive factories from scratch, he formed an alliance with the German industrial giant Ausberger. By partnering with a proven world leader in hydroturbines, he effectively transferred all of that massive technical scaling and manufacturing risk completely away from his startup.
Which perfectly sets up Section 5, Stoic Leadership and Resilience.
Tiravanti is really well known for his stoic leadership style. He relies heavily on the teachings of the ancient philosopher Epictetus, and his philosophy is beautifully simple. Focus exclusively on what can be controlled. In his case, that means technical efficiency and commercial execution. So when he inevitably faces rejections from venture capitalists or hits totally unpredictable technological hurdles, he doesn't panic. Instead, he maintains this incredible serenity by doubling down on his expertise. That resilience is exactly what allows a veteran leader to weather the storms that usually sink younger, much less experienced founders.
So the crucial point here is this number, 100%. This is practically unheard of in the hardware startup world. Heading into their seed round, the founders have retained exactly 100% equity. Thanks to his stoic patience, truly surgical resource management, and a smart reliance on state grants rather than just rushing out for early venture capital, Tiravanti and his co-founding team kept total control of their company, all while successfully reaching TRL 6 in deep tech hardware.
And let me tell you, that stoic patience is paying off commercially in a massive, massive way. They have already built an audited commercial pipeline worth $500 million. They aren't just out there pitching vague ideas. They have actually signed non-disclosure agreements with top-tier mining giants like Buenaventura and Nexa Resources. It absolutely proves that the market, and specifically those heavy industries he audited for all those decades, is actively hungering for the exact efficiency solutions he's building today.
And finally, Section 6, Continuous Learning Guide. Let's just step back and look at how this all builds together. In the 1980s, he mastered the really gritty mechanics of oil pipelines. But the key here is that he didn't let that expertise stagnate. In the 2010s, well into his 50s, he actually went back to school. He attended the EUD Business School to earn a master's degree in renewable energy and energy management. He clearly recognized the massive global shift away from fossil fuels and actively chose to re-educate himself so he could lead in a renewable future. It is just a stunning reminder to all of us that it is literally never too late to pivot, learn something new, and completely reinvent yourself. We've seen today how 40 years of teaching, grinding field audits, and stoic leadership culminated in a massive deep tech breakthrough. Tiravanti's blueprint shows us that true digital transformation starts from within, with personal education and relentless resilience. So as you look at your own career right now and the rapidly shifting technological landscapes all around us, ask yourself, how are you preparing for your next professional reinvention? Keep learning, stay focused, and I'll see you in the next explainer.